All right, guys, so Yuan Shao, Romance 14. I just want to look at his abilities, look at the character real quick, and just give you guys a quick overview and some ratings for him, right? So, first things first, his portrait's awesome. His portrait's badass portrait. I love the portraits in Romance 14. This one's great. It's got that arrogance. It's got that pride. The pride and prestige of 4 generations of the House of Yuan. Now, let's start with his stats, right? His stats and his policy, okay? Stats and policy. So his most relevant stat is his leadership, which starts at 81. 81 leadership puts him at 59th in the list of total in the whole game. And for this scenario, 190, which is really the most relevant time for him, it puts him ranked at number 40. So Yuan Shao's leadership, his best statistic, charm is 92, but charm just doesn't have a ton of function in this game. This game is geared towards war. So we have to put, even though charm is higher, we have to look at the context. What matters here, right? So what's relevant? Leadership. Leadership in 190 puts him ranked at 40. Not that high considering this is the time where he's most important in the course of the game. You know, it's kind of weird because ranked number 40 is still very high. There's over 1,000 officers in this game. But when it matters the most, Yuan Shao's stat kind of disappears a little bit. There's a lot of officers right now on the map, not just rulers, but officers who just have higher leadership than him. I mean, there's 39 people on this map right now that have higher leadership than Yuan Shao does. And this guy's a ruler, So, it should be good. It should feel great, but it doesn't feel that great because it's just, there's 39 people ahead of this guy. So where Yuan Shao does shine, and 81 leadership solid, but let me tell you where this guy really does shine, is his policy. Now the administration, there is a minor step back with the design here because he has the noble branch, which is even. The noble policy focus for your ruler means that it's all even Steven. You see he's got 4 blocks everywhere. Yuan Shao's ability, Pen and Sword, one of the best abilities in the game. He's got Pen and Sword level 3. What that means is that he adds +3 to any support policies that you have. Any support policies that you put here, Yuan Shao gives you +3 to their level. Okay, and support policies, all policies cap at 10, by the way. So, this is incredible. Support policies are among the best policies in the game. Stats and policy, I'd give Yuan Shao an 8 out of 10. Okay, his stats are still solid. It's just the fact that his heyday is during the coalition when everybody's out. All the superstars are out. So he's in a sea of killers. So there's a lot of other talent ahead of him. But it's, 81 leadership is still really good. And his strength is not terrible either, I should say. 69 strength is not that bad. It's a lucky number too. 8 out of 10. Let's move on to his traits, his formation, his tactic, right? So this is where I have some beef with this guy. So where do I even begin with him? Let's just do the traits. So traits, commanding general, demolish ability of units of your force other than your own within range is increased. This sounds great until you read the parentheses that Koei seems to have added at the end. Except for ships and siege weapons. So this ability increases demolish, so you can break cities down quicker and obstacles. Sounds great. The problem is, doesn't work with siege weapons. Koei made something, and then classic Koei, they got a little nervous, and they dialed it back. They nerfed it back. So they made something that was great and interesting, and then they nerfed it, made it uninteresting and almost unusable. Commanding general would be incredible because siege weapons in this game are so bad. This would allow you to have some kind of fun siege weapon build, right? Where you just burst down castles very quickly before the AI can react. Fun idea? Can't do it. Doesn't work with siege weapons. His second ability, Overseer, when over a core, all of your abilities are increased. This is about a plus 15% bonus to his abilities. And in case you guys are wondering, Commanding General is plus 10% to demolish. I did the numbers, but I'm not going to show you guys for time reasons. But 10% for Demolish, Overseers plus 15%. What's the problem with Overseer? You have to be over a core. Cores are maddeningly. Is that how you say that word? Maddeningly? I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. My English is not that good sometimes. They're infuriating to use effectively. Let's go with that. Rejuvenator trait is another trait that requires you to be over a core. The problem with cores is kind of simple when you start to think about it. You have to get the enemy to give you battle over them, right? Playing defensively, you're not going to be able to use this ability because you're relying on the enemy attacking you, okay? That's a reactive game plan. You're just sitting around. If you're not attacking in a grand strategy game, you're dying. I've said this a million times. If you're not taking the offensive, if you're not taking the initiative, then you're losing. Sitting back and waiting on the AI, which depending on what game it's programmed, you don't know when they're going to finally move and do something, is a death sentence, okay? Of boredom most of the time. So sitting back, I'm going to sit back at my core and I'm going to let them come into me, and then I'll get that plus 15% when they charge it. No, it's never going to happen. Rarely, if ever. Never going to. Too situational. Offensive is your best hope. Maybe a quarter of the time the AI will meet you if you stand over their core. Most of the time they're not going to do that. Most of the time they're just not going to do that. So again, too situational. That's the picture that I'm painting for Overseer, Yuan Shao's Overseer trait. It's just too situational. If there was a way to get the enemy to come out and fight you at a core of your choosing where it was relevant. Let's say Gao Yang core, right? This is a great core right here, where it's just like, you must deal with me or your supply line will be cut off. I'm going to stand here at this choke point. We're going to stand at the hot gates and their numbers will count for nothing, But again, you're dependent on AI programming. It just kills it. It just kills it. I got to move on. I don't want to be here all day about it. Let's get on to the next trait. Waverer. I love Waverer. Why? The period in which your unit is inflicted with restraint is increased. Whenever Yuan Shao is hit with restraint, he can't move. That period is increased. Now, at first, you're thinking tactics. Okay, that's pretty rare. When is this going to be really relevant for me? Well, whenever your supply lines get cut in this game, you are hit with restraint and disorder, and your morale plummets whenever your supply lines are cut. So this is actually the coolest trait that he has because it is a thematic home run. This is the Wu Chao effect. This is the dev saying, let's give him something for Wu Chao. If Yuan Shao's supply lines are cut off, he is done for. He is not just hit with the normal effect of supply lines being cut, but the restraint period is lengthened. He ain't going nowhere. He is paralyzed with indecision, and it's game over. A simple trait captures this character. I mean, perfect. This is my favorite trait on Yuan Shao. It's a negative trait. Next one is Haughty. When your troops fall below a certain number, all of your abilities go down. This is crippling, like a 60% decrease to your total stats, but it's only when your troops are below 3K. So if your troops are below 3K, you're probably dead in the water anyway. This just expedites your exit, just expedites it a lot quicker. Almost never going to matter. Again, when you're already below 3K as Yuan Shao, you're already done anyway. So of all the traits, the one that I actually like is Waverer for Yuan Shao because it just fits him so well. His formations are good, basic formations. His most interesting formation, I would say, is Crane, but I like that he has Tower and Ram. Let's talk about his tactic. This is what gives him a little power. Yuan Shao's tactic, all abilities are increased, all allied morale is increased. This usually refills his morale, caps his morale, and it gives Yuan Shao an about 80% increase to abilities, guys. 80% increase. Huge. Almost double abilities. This makes him like a sledgehammer, situationally, right? Fun thing about this, it's not AoE. So Yuan Shao only buffs his own abilities, which is okay, it feels a little narcissistic, a little self-centered, fits the character perfectly. Cao Cao by comparison, strength of weight increases everyone's abilities, right? Yuan Shao increases only his abilities. I mean, this tactic, home run. Thematically home run. So his traits, formation, and tactics on a scale of 10, I gotta give it about an 8. Same. 8 out of 10. Now the third category I want to look at, his synergy and impact. You know, you can have all this good stuff on the board. It looks great on paper. But does it work? Does this guy have an impact on the battlefield? It's, you know, it feels a little bit indecisive, okay? So Yuan Shao altogether, this is a guy who wants to deploy in crane formation, I would say. You want to deploy this guy in crane. You want to use the fact that he can suppress all this area as he's moving through. He captures a lot of hexes. Draw the enemy in, and then use Yuan Majesty, inflate your stats. You know, almost double your stats, and just punish the enemy for engaging, right? The problem is, it's just a buff increase to stats. That's it. You know, there's a lot of other abilities, there's a lot of other tactics that he could have. It doesn't flow with commanding general. There's just no synergy. There's nothing. You know, the only way to use this guy is to really just move up, hope that the enemy engages you, and drop Yuan Majesty. And Yuan Majesty, again, plus 80% is very strong, but it's like a half measure. Everything together, Yuan Shao feels like he's just all over the place. You know, like the character himself, he's just all over the place. So maybe there you could say that they did their job a little too well with Theme. One thing that could have been a home run for him, commanding general, if you guys don't know, crane formation is fantastic for demolishing in this game. So if you don't have access to siege weapons or you don't want to use them because they're terrible, you can deploy somebody in crane formation, and crane has great demolish. Now the problem with Yuan Shao is that he has nobody in his force outside of Tianfeng. There's nobody in this force that has access to, where are the formations? Has access to crane. Okay, if he had even 4 or 5 people, well, Tianfeng does, that's it. If he had even 4 or 5 people, you could deploy this huge crane wall with buffed up defense that is just suppressing the area, and then Yuan Shao gives commanding general, and then he buffs up demolish. So one build that I would look for when you're playing Yuan Shao is to acquire some crane officers. Officers have access to that formation, and then just build this wall with Yuan Shao at the head that is just buffed in defense, flipping the X's everywhere. Imagine a crane wall like this, a line of crane officers, and each one is just spaced out so that you're painting the map as you're moving forward, and Yuan Shao is buffing demolish. So when you get to the city, you can burst down the city. That would be excellent. But he doesn't have anybody that helps him with crane. And he doesn't acquire anyone. You know, the faction that he gets from Hanfu, nobody has crane over there either. So there's no synergy. He can be a sledgehammer, but it's a situational sledgehammer. All Yuan Shao can do is, at the beginning, charge in there, buff up, try to drop Yuan Majesty, and try to make that matter, you know? So his impact, I give it about a 7 out of 10. Overall, I give Yuan Shao a 7.5 out of 10. Now let's get to the rework section, what I would fix about him, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, so for reworking Yuan Shao, just two traits that we have to change to give this guy some impact so that he has that, so we can capture that larger than life feeling, okay? Romance of the Three Kingdoms, more so than Nobunaga's Ambition. This is the game that you want to capture that big, impactful force, right, that the characters seem to have from the novelization, especially for guys that are, you know, featured for a little while, like Yuan Shao. They have their time in the sun, right? So we're not going to touch anything else. I've said it before, but you never want to really touch stats unless you have to. You don't want to adjust core stats for something in almost any game, because usually adjusting those core stats, just increasing those up, will diminish everything else around it, all the other systems around it. So we're especially going to leave abilities the same. So traits. We got rid of Overseer, and we gave Yuan Shao Glory instead. Okay? Glory. The amount of troops required for you to expand its range of conquer is decreased. Glory makes it so that you just expand even faster when you're moving through. Also, the trait itself fits perfectly. Now, more importantly, to me anyway, we got rid of Haughty because it's too situational, and we gave him Downcast. What Downcast does, when units of your force other than your own are destroyed, the morale of your unit is decreased. So this is a callback to him in the novelization. As he starts to lose, as the supplies are raided at Wu Chao, Gao Lan and Zhang He gives themselves up. Tian Feng takes his own life. You know, after Yuan Shao realizes that he made a mistake, it's already too late. Tian Feng is his best strategist, arguably has taken away his own life. Yuan Shao gives into despair. All this news starts to pile up, and it starts to wear heavy on him. And, you know, in the novelization, it's implied that's ultimately what killed him, right? And I think in the TV show as well. So Downcast fits perfectly for Yuan Shao. If units around him start to die, start to get annihilated, destroyed, his morale starts to plummet, okay? He's very quick to give in to worry and get distracted. And just by that same token, Glory, being able to expand your range, because you don't need as many troops, which means you can hit your cap. You can hit higher conquer ranges with less troops. So suddenly 10,000 troops in a fish formation, it's like having 20,000 troops in a fish formation. You know what I mean? It makes it that much more stronger. Glory is really important because it gives him that presence. It allows him to suppress these areas. So now when you move in with Yuan Shao, it feels like this big, reputable, heroic figure is moving in, and the population is just flocking over to him. It gives him this threat of like, oh shit, Yuan Shao's coming in. He's going to start painting all of my tiles. Are just going to start flipping over to this guy because he has the glory keyword. And it combos well with famous as well to help him keep gaining people. It just fits. It gives him this whole feeling of like the people are all for this guy during the time of the coalition, and just based on his reputation is just hard carrying him. So those are the only two traits I'd give Yuan Shao, and that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was just, you know, I was just looking at this guy in this game, my favorite character, and I was like, man, what started with one or two thoughts turned into this whole idea. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you guys want to see me cover another character, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care, everybody.